ओम अज्ञानांजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
83 Prabhuji will have 83.
Yeah, 83. Yeah. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
एतत् अध्यात्म पारोक्षम
Etad Adhyatma Paroksham
गीतम देवर्षिनानघ
Geetam Devarshinag
यह श्रावयेद यह शृणुयात्
Yah Sharved Yah Shruvya
सलिंगेन विमुच्यते।
Shalingena Vimuchyate. I'll read Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. My dear Vidura, one who hears this narration concerning the understanding of the living entity, spiritual existence, as described by the great sage Narada, or who relates it to others, will be liberated from the bodily conception of life. Purport. Material creation is the spiritual soul's dream. Actually, all existence in material world is a dream of Mahavishnu. As the Brahma Samhita described, Yaha Karnarnama Gale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram Anant Jagat Andashorma Upa. The material world is created by dreaming of Mahavishnu. The real factual platform is the spiritual world. But when the spirit soul want to imitate the supreme personality of Godhead, he is put into this dreamland of material creation. After being in contact with material mode of nature, the living entity develops the subtle and gross bodies. When the living entity is fortunate enough to associate with Sri Narad Mahamuni or his servants, he is liberated from the dreamland of material creation and the bodily conception of life.
Yeah. So, one who hears this narration concerning the understanding of the living entity's spiritual existence, as described by the great sage Narad, or who relates it to others, will be liberated from the bodily conception of life. So, this is a benediction which is given here. Of course, now one may think, hey, we have already read this, but we are still very much in this conception. So the fact is that, we have to act on that platform. So we should also have the desire to get out of this material world. Otherwise, we'll stay here. Like, for example, after taking bath in the holy Ganges, one immediately becomes free from all sinful reactions. But after taking the bath, our minds are so full of sinful desires that we again come back and become sinful. So therefore, after hearing Bhagavatam, our consciousness must also be to give up this bodily conception of life. So actually, what is this body? This is just a dream of Mahavishnu. Because the living entity wants to enjoy separately, Mahavishnu dreams of this material world and then we try to enjoy it. But because it's a dream, there is no real enjoyment here. After a while, the dream ends and then we are miserable. So one may even go to the heavenly planets, but again come back, Kshina Punya Marte Lokam Vishanti. So in this way, it is up to the desire of the living entity to give up this material world. As soon as the living entity desires to give up this world, Krishna within the heart becomes aware of it. And immediately he manifests as Bahya Guru and within as Paramatma Cheta Guru. And in this way, he constantly strives to take the living entity out of this material world. So one thing we must understand that, we must desire and we must constantly strive to get out of this world. Desiring also is not alone sufficient. desiring alone is also not sufficient. One has to make an effort also to get out of it. So after hearing this, we hear this 10th offense, to maintain material desires, even after hearing so many, to maintain material attachments, even after hearing so many instructions in this regard. So that is an offense, because we are reading the Bhagavad, reading the Gita, we are getting the association of Srila Prabhupada. And after that, if we still maintain association, if we still maintain attachment to our home, our wealth, our position, we try to play politics with devotees, then all of this will eventually become an aparadh. And Bahu Janma Jadi Kare Shravana Kirtan, Sei Jeev Kabhi Na Pave Krishna Premadhan. So even after chanting for many, many verses, we will not be able to attain Krishna. So this capacity to attain Krishna is within us, but we have to give up our dirty desires. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Okay, we continue. Text 84. Etan Mukunda Yashasa Bhuvanam Punanam.
Etan Mukunda Yashasha Bhuvanam Punanam.
Devarshi Varya Mukha Nisritam Atma Shaucham.
Devarshi Varya Mukha Nishratam Atma Shaucham.
Yah Kirtyamanam Adhigachati Parameshthyam.
यह कीर्तयमानम् अधिगच्छति पारमेष्ठयम्
नास्मिन् भवे भ्रमति मुक्त समस्त बंधा.
नास्मिन् भवे भ्रमति मुक्त समस्त बंधा.
Yes. So, someone like to read?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Translation. This narration spoken by the great sage Narad is full of transcendental fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, this narration, when described, certainly sanctifies this material world. It purifies the heart of the living entity and helps him attain his spiritual identity. One who relates this transcendental narration will be liberated from all material bondage and will no longer have to wander within this material world. Purport. As indicated in verse 79, Narad Muni advised King Prachina Barhi to take to devotional service rather than waste time performing ritualistic ceremonies and fruitive activities. The vivid descriptions of the subtle and gross bodies in this chapter are most scientific, and because they are given by the great sage Narad, they are authoritative. Because these narrations are full of the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they constitute the most effective process for the purification of mind. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed, Cheto Darpana Marjana, the more we talk of Krishna, think of Krishna, and preach for Krishna, the more we become purified. This means we no longer have to accept a hallucinatory, gross, and subtle body, but instead attain our spiritual identity. One who tries to understand this instructive spiritual knowledge is delivered from this ocean of science. The word Parameshthyam is very significant in this connection. Parameshthyam is also called Brahmaloka. It is the planet on which Lord Brahma lives. The inhabitants of Brahmaloka always discuss such narrations so that after the annihilation of the material world, they can be directly transferred to the spiritual world. One who is transferred to the spiritual world does not have to go up and down within this material world. Sometimes spiritual activities are also called Parameshthyam. Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, consequently, this narration, when described, certainly sanctifies this material world. In this material world, everything that we see is illusory. Our body, our family, our property, everything is illusory. So when we are living in this illusory world, all the subject matter that we discuss is also illusory. People take everything so seriously. Prabhu, today, is my son's birthday party, so I can't come for Bhagavatam. Today is my office anniversary, so I can't come. All this is an indication that we are so bound by this illusion. We give priority to this illusion as compared to the reality of the spiritual world. So we see here only 13 people for hearing Bhagavatam, whereas there are 13,000 devotees who are just engaged in mundane activities right now. So you see, this illusion remains very strong even when we are practicing bhakti. This illusion is so strong that we have no idea of who we are or what is beneficial for us. To dispel this illusion, we have to strongly chant the holy names of the Lord. As Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So the first layer of illusion is that we don't even feel we are in illusion. You see, when I think, oh, my wife is important, or my house is important, my family important, mother, father, they are important, we are actually in illusion. And when we think, oh, they are more important than even Bhagavatam, then our illusion, then we should understand that we don't even feel that we are in illusion. So you see, to get out of this conditioning, the only way is to chant the holy names. In the beginning, we'll feel nothing. It's just a matter of discipline, sadhana. The sadhana literally means just practice. So we are just practicing. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. So what is this bhava mahadavagni? The fire of material existence, bhava mahadavagni. We are suffering, and still we are not able to get out. So Mahaprabhu is not saying davagni, he's saying bhava mahadavagni. In a great forest fire, you can't really make out which way is which. All you see is fire in every direction. So and death is imminent. So this material world is also like that. So many fires. There is family, there is profession, there is education, there is society, there is nation, and there seems to be no way out. So therefore, it is recommended that we simply chant the holy name whether we feel anything or not. So we follow it as a matter of instruction, as a matter of etiquette for obeying our spiritual master. We should just chant continuously. Krishna is saying, Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Just like you have, for example, you graduated maybe 10 years ago. Today, if you take the subject matter, it will be difficult for you to recollect. So you can't recollect it now. But if you keep on practicing, eventually you will recollect. So that is the position. So you have to continuously keep reminding yourself of Krishna, and eventually, you will be able to recollect your original spiritual position as a living entity, as a servant of Krishna. But that means you have to do it continuously. When you chant 16 rounds and you realize that you are not feeling any remembrance of Krishna, then you should understand that you have to chant more. That is the only way. The more you keep on chanting, the more you will start getting purified. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Can you tell us more about this Parameshtam?
Parameshtam. Okay. Parameshtam to the spiritual world. So, to the spiritual world. So you see here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the meaning of Parameshtam, that you see, the spiritual world is a real place. Okay. It is a planet in which Lord Brahma resides. Because the narration is constantly of spiritual world there. They are constantly engaged in spiritual consciousness. Now Brahma is influenced by mode of passion. So he can understand that he is under the influence of material nature. So he is constantly trying to free himself of this conditioning by discussing about the spiritual affairs, spiritual worlds. Therefore, that condition is Parameshtam.
So you can have that also here.
Yes. Yes. Krishna. Okay, so there is a comment here. Mhm. Okay, also this question, right? It says that narration is full of Krishna's glories. That the logic Krishna's mercy. See, okay, now what is the question? Uh, Sometimes when we are led into flow desire. Okay, so we have discussed this in Gita yesterday. That in material world we are driven by the mode of passion. Because we are driven by passion, we are having so many desires. So until we are completely spiritual, these desires will keep coming. Therefore, we have to learn to tolerate the desires. So to remember Krishna, we have to glorify him. Simply try to understand this. In this world, you are glorifying your husband, your son, your daughter, your father, your mother. And what are they? They are just fallible people. You will glorify your son. Oh, my son is so nice. He's so smart. And then your son will go and take drugs. Or he'll become a, he'll poor academic or something. And then you will be disappointed. Oh, my son is like this. Now he has run away with some girl. He doesn't care about me. So this is material world. Instead of that, you glorify Krishna. So right at the moment, it seems all theoretical because we don't really have any real understanding of Krishna, no sakshatkar. But as we go on glorifying, eventually we'll become more and more purified, and then we'll be able to see Krishna. As you go on glorifying, see, glorification of Krishna doesn't mean that we only talk about, his Ras Leela and his Braja Leela only. There are so many ways of glorifying Krishna. For example, you see how Krishna is compassionate to Arjun. You can glorify that. You can identify with that. Arjuna is going to lose his grandfather, his teacher, and he's sorry. You are going to lose your husband and your child. You should also be sorry. Then you will be able to glorify Krishna. So try to identify with Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Then you will be able to glorify him properly. Otherwise, it will all just remain theoretical. After this narration, after what we are hearing today, if you still go back and think, oh, my husband is so brilliant, my wife is so beautiful, my son is so nice, then you are fool number one. Because you haven't really understood Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Then this narration will have no effect. You should go and try to meditate how they are all fallible. Your husband may be the greatest hero on earth. He may be Alexander the Great himself. But you should understand that he has a time. After that time, he'll be gone. Or you will have your time before him and you will be gone. So, while he may be a nice person, you are not supposed to condemn him. But you should understand that your glorification is of no value. You should understand that these are all fallible soldiers of Maya. Your real savior is Krishna only. So if you think that way, then you are in proper context of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Otherwise, you are an illusion and you will be remaining in the illusion and you will spread only illusion for others. Hare Krishna. Yes. Does that answer your question? Okay, very nice. So, shall we continue? Text 85. Adhyatma parokshamidam
Paroksham
mayadhigatam adbhutam.
Mayadhigatam adbhutam.
Evam striya shramah pumsah
Evam
chenno amutra cha sanshaya.
Chinno
Samshaya.
Mary to
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna.
Translation purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. The library of the King Purvanja, described here in according to authority, was hurled by me from my spiritual master, and it is full of spiritual knowledge. If one can understand the purport of this library, he will certainly be relieved from the bodily conception and will clearly understand life after death. Although one may not understand that transmigration of the soul actually is, one can fully understand it by studying this narration. But what? The word still means, along with the wife, is significant. The male and the female living together constitute the sum and substance of material existence. The attraction between the male and female in this material world is very strong. In all the species of life, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of existence. The same principle of intermigrating is also in human society, but in regulative form. Material existence means living together as male and female and being attracted by one another. However, when one fully understands the spiritual life, his attraction for the opposite sex is completely vanquished. By such attraction, one becomes overly attached to this material world. It is hard knot within the heart. Pumsaha striya mitun bhavim itam tyato matuhu hridya grantham aho ato grahe rekstato sutpata vitte janmasya mohai yam aham mamiti. Bhagavad Gita 5.5.8. Everyone comes to this material world attracted to sense gratification, and the heart knot of sense gratification is the attraction between male and female. By this attraction, one becomes overtly attached to the material world. In terms of Grahe, Kshetra, Suta, Apat, Vitte. That is home, land, children, friends, money, and so forth. Thus one becomes entangled in the bodily conception of I and mine. However, if one understands this story of King Purinja and understands how, by sexual attraction, Purinja became a female in the next life, one will also understand the process of transmigration. There is notes here, a special note, according to Vijay Padej Tirtha, who belongs to the Madhavacharya Sampradaya. The first two of the following verses appear after the 45th verse of this chapter, and this remaining two verses appear even after 77. A note given from Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll take these verses afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got very bad throat.
Yeah, it's a bit it's a bit difficult to talk. So, see, Tayor Mithog Hridaya Granthemahu, it's a very hard knot. Very difficult to give up. Because this is very hard to give up, no power in this material world can break this knot. That of sexual attraction between male and female. Sometimes we see, like especially in the West, that this attraction is not so strong. Husband and wife, they don't really care for each other. But that is generally due to animalistic thinking. I don't enjoy sex with this female, I'll take another one, or I'll take another male. This is like a dog-like thinking, okay, I don't like this husband, I'll take another one, I'll enjoy some more sex life. This is a dog-like thinking. So, but in reality, even if one lives like a human being, this attraction remains very strong. In fact, that's the very basis of material existence. So therefore, to give it up is very, very, very difficult, practically impossible in this world. But if one carefully pays attention to Bhagavatam, as we have seen in the first canto also, Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So, by constantly hearing Bhagavatam, by constantly rendering service to devotees, by constantly chanting the holy names, gradually this knot will become loosened. As the dirt in our heart starts getting cleansed, this male-female attraction will slowly start getting loosened. And then we'll be able to give it up altogether and then understand that we are neither male nor female. जीव कृष्ण दास यही विश्वास कर ले तो आर दुखे नाई. But to understand that we are servant of Krishna, that takes a long time. So we have to constantly chant and constantly read the Bhagavad. So the story of Puranjan specifically is directed at understanding that particular issue as to how dangerous this sexual attraction between male and female is. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Vedanta Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
So there's no doubt that Krishna is the well-wisher of all living beings.
Hmm.
That's the fundamental thing which we have no doubt about it.
Hmm.
The second important thing is that the sex
Hmm.
is again a fundamental on which the creation is created.
Yes.
Now, it's very difficult for me to put the questions this straight way. Then why it has been now, after reading Bhagavatam or discussing, why sex and sex relationship is being criticized so negatively? Because when Krishna created us, we knew they will bond with strong bonds among them. And then resultantly, all the material things will come up.
Yeah.
So why the universe was at all created? And if created, then why this constitution of the two male and female bodies?
See, the universe was created because of our desire. We wanted it, so Krishna had to create it. Not that Krishna created it. So we wanted, so Krishna was forced to create this for us. Like the child says to father, Father, give me some candy, give me chocolate, give me ice cream. The father doesn't like it. He knows it's not good for the son, but the son is insistent. So the father has to give. So we were insistent on this world, so Krishna created it. Okay, here, take this. So he made it temporary so that we don't suffer eternally. And if you see, in this world, there is no enjoyment. Even if we have the best of relationships, they're mundane, so they become boring. We don't enjoy them anymore. So therefore, Krishna has created a temporary world where we can satisfy our desires and eventually go back to him.
But the only thing is, yes, we agree. What you are saying is absolutely correct. And that is spirit of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita also. But question is, this is going on from time immemorial. And it's not a 1 or 2, 20 persons. It is a whole universe. Once who gets into the universe, it's either being male or female, whether, say, a human being or an animal being. This thing is going on. And then we are criticizing, can't there be some solution to this? Solution is that we read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and follow it. That is one thing.
Yeah.
And go for liberation. But liberation also, we don't want liberation now. They say you continue this word in case you get devotion here. So those are very beautiful things to understand. But the whole universe is passing through such a wretched phase and miserable condition. Then we can only pity, we do not know how to come out of it.
The whole world wants it. Go out on the street and tell those boys and girls in college that, it's not good to be sexually attracted. And they'll be very angry at you. They want that.
That means God wants us that they should continue doing the same thing so that they come back again and again to the material world.
No. God has created so many. He has created Bible, Quran, Gita. Read it and come back. Don't remain attracted to this material world. Krishna has made Krishna. Study the books and get yourself. Like, for example, Prabhu, you are in the army. It was not so easy, not everyone can get into it because to be a soldier requires some standard. So one has to follow those and one can become a soldier. So if one wants to go back to spiritual world, one can do that. So you qualify yourself and go back.
Prabhuji, do you think with your experience and everything,
Huh.
is it really possible that we follow the basic fundamentals which is did in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, that they become devotees, surrender to God? Now, there can be different standards of surrendering. I'm a
Yes.
very knowledge person. I may be very illiterate, may not be able to surrender properly. Others may be
Yeah.
surrendering much better. So what is my plight and the plight of those who are not perfect?
It takes time. It takes practice. Next chapter, Krishna has mentioned it. It requires practice and detachment. So you have to give it up. At some point, you have to decide, okay, this is where I draw the line. Like, okay, there is family, that's nice, there is family, but we can't hang on to family all the time. Like, good, hanging on to their children, oh, my child will do this, my child will become an engineer, now I see that my child gets married, this and that. That's not required. We do it. Like devotees who are 70 years old are still hanging out with children. Oh, my 30-year-old son has a grandchild. No nonsense. If the son is 35, 40 years old, he's already established in his profession. Why a man needs to be so attached to them? We see devotees are bothered. Oh, my son is now studying in this country. Now he's doing this. Now he's doing that. No, whatever he does, he let him do. Focus on bhakti. In spite of chanting, in spite of reading, they're still hanging on these misconceptions. What can be done?
That's true,
One has to
Prabhuji.
stop.
Friday you were discussing, and when somebody wanted to leave the vices, I know one case where the person was a chain smoker, and somebody asked him, "Ki you leave smoking, you can't do it." No, he had been trying for 20 years. Now he will say, "No, from this Diwali I'll do it, this Holi I'll do it." So it never happens. But that particular day was the Lakshman Jhula in Rishikesh.
Huh.
So this person really provoked him. You were saying that you can leave smoking. You have not done it. He said, "I'm doing it now." And he threw the cigarette packet into the Ganges. It is a real story. And after that, he never smoked. So if
So
one
you
wants
see,
to take a sannyas, it is not that we have to do after 20 years or 2 years. If you leave it the day you make up your mind, just walk on.
yes, absolutely.
There's
Yes.
no grace period. Yeah, I'll do this thing, that thing. Walk away from there, and naturally, it will
When a
come into your.
soldier walks into enemy fire, like
Yeah.
how is he able to do it? Determination.
We fully know that we will
So
be killed. May be killed, but that
yeah,
doesn't stop us. If
yeah,
we come back, we are lucky. If we don't come back, we are fortunate.
yeah. That's it. Anyway, whether a soldier dies at the age of 30 or he dies at the age of 90, it doesn't make any difference.
Absolutely.
If he dies at
Why
30,
should
he's glorious.
anybody? It doesn't make. Because we know any day we are going to die.
Yeah,
We know our birth, we do not know about death. Nobody knows about death. When it
yeah,
will come. But it will come, that is all the surety.
yeah. So better to die a glorious death.
Absolutely.
That's why soldiers are glorified.
Yeah. That is really honorable death. If you have to die, then why not die that?
Yeah. So that's a soldier. So a devotee should also be like that. So if a
But
whole
devotees
Indian
are
army
soldiers.
can do that,
I agree. In fact, somewhere I was reading comment. The Prabhupada said is our sannyasis and grastas are soldiers.
yeah. So there is so much of trouble we have to take, but we should take it.
Yes.
This is for Krishna. I mean, we have to do something. Either I could be sitting and chatting with my friends, or I could be sitting here and discussing Bhagavatam with you. But this is our duty. We have to do it.
Yeah, I really appreciate your, even for 12, 11 people you come and spend so much time.
Oh, 12 and 11 glorious souls. These are not ordinary people.
Yeah, that's what you could have said. Yeah, unless there are 40 people, I'm not going to attend the class.
12 people. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. For 3 years you have been tolerating me, so you are glorious.
Yeah, it is we are very fortunate we got this opportunity. I must say this.
So go out and preach this message fearlessly. and you will be protected by Krishna.
Hey Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Okay,
you very much.
so thank you, Prabhu. So next verses are slightly big. So tomorrow we'll finish this chapter. Today my throat is not working. I can't speak anymore. So we continue tomorrow. If you want, you can discuss something if you have some question or something. Because the next verses which we are going to discuss are very important ones, and I don't want to discuss like this when I can't speak properly. The last 3 verses we are going to discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
And the Pranam.
Prabhuji, there is a verse, something, it says about some achar prachar in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Uh-huh.
Achar and prachar, something like the preaching, like one should not do bhakti without preaching, and one should do achar, means sadhana and prachar, both has to go on. Then the bhakti will be perfect and Lord will be pleased. May I request you, Prabhuji, could you please explain this little bit properly?
Yeah, so Haridas Thakur speaks about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, there are those who preach but do not practice, and there are who practice who don't preach. But you, my Lord, you practice and you preach. So you see, we should preach through our acharana, through our behavior, through our activity. Unless we are practicing bhakti ourselves, what can we preach? We're not preaching for some glorification. We're not preaching for our own, gratification. We are preaching as a matter of duty. Even in Bible, there is a verse, physician, heal thyself. So before you preach, you have to practice it. So unless one is practicing bhakti, one cannot preach. That preaching will have no effect. There will be no resilience. One will not be able to continue preaching. So we have to first purify ourselves. Janma sarthaka kari kar paropkar. Without delivering yourself, how will you deliver someone else? So therefore, when we are in process of bhakti, we should always strive to become perfect ourselves. And then we should preach. Or, as Srila Prabhupada advises, then if you are not perfect, then you repeat the words of the perfect Acharya. Don't concoct. We see so many preachers who try to create some philosophy. Oh, now I'm bored of Srila Prabhupada, now I'll talk about Madhvacharya. Now I'll talk about Ramanujacharya. This is concoction. Because you haven't understood one spiritual master, you are jumping to another. One has to purify oneself first, then one has to preach. Or preach the words of a pure master. Then also you are on the platform of perfection. Otherwise, it will only be concoction. It will attract cheap followers and it will bring you down because you will end up taking their karma. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I think comments of certain texts at the future lesson. I think next lesson will be there. They say there are 3 births. A person takes 3 births.
Huh.
One is the birth, other is the initiation, and third is after the second initiation and all that. And they think
Actually,
after second initiation, he can do certain things like cooking meal for the god and all those things. But what we insisted in Navabharti, we should do. We should bring a deity in our house, worship and all this, and give the offer, etc.
Yeah.
Now this is the third initiation. We wait for that to come. And it means till the time we get third initiation, we can't do the Bhakti. You can't do the deity worship. And we can't touch him also.
Actually,
which is not happening, in fact.
Actually, you see, Prabhu, In reality, Prabhu, only the second initiation is considered initiation. There is no such thing as first initiation.
Okay.
Prabhupada just gave that as a sort of commitment so that devotees feel committed, but real initiation only means the third initiation.
Mhm.
Or otherwise, the time when you start chanting Hare Krishna, that is also initiation. The day you are convinced about Krishna consciousness, that is the day of your initiation.
But in the present age, with all this condemnation and materialism,
Huh.
is it possible to try to become so pure that unless you do all these things, you cannot offer the bhoga to Bhagavan and all that? Because whatever written
No,
in there
no.
is virtually impossible.
Offer with love and devotion. There is no such thing
Exactly.
as, you don't need
Uh-huh.
third initiation to do that.
Because the
Offer with
other
love
day I
and
was
devotion, it
reading
is acceptable.
this text I was reading, so that
Huh.
agitated my mind. According to this, nobody can bring a deity in our house. Now, many people have brought deity and love and affection, yes. I think they must be giving great love and affection to the deities, respecting everything. But with
Mhm.
all the war ideas, I was rather scared that day. That means we are doing offense.
No, no, no. Do it with love and devotion.
Sure, Prabhu, sure. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Please feel better, Prabhuji. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.